Phew, LJ can hit it now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, no
I got
way.
it.
Yeah.
I found out that my
I'm
computer-
replaceable.
You're very
Your
replaceable.
one role.
Chuck.
I got one job to do. Start the timer.
You guys in DFS.
You're very replaceable, Chuck. Don't forget that.
Yep.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Sweet Shots podcast. Lucas Johnson back alongside Mark Johnson and Chuck Johnson for episode 20. We're back. This is going to be the start of round two, hole one, if you will. That right there, gentlemen, is how you do an intro. I did listen to the...
We missed you last week.
Did you? Because it took you a full 30 minutes to realize I was gone. I sure hope the listeners realized I was gone before you guys did.
It was. Whoops. We took a break. We went, we didn't explain why Lucas isn't here.
Right.
I mean,
Sorry
it
about
took
that.
me all of 30 seconds to be like, these guys, they
Just
got no
glossed
clue.
over it.
They got no clue.
Well, I think we were just so caught up in how do we even do this? Which
Right.
buttons do we press to start that we just all of a sudden we were in it and we forgot to mention that you were doing your PGA schooling. How did it go, by the way?
I got through it. I got through it all. You know, there's certain things you pick up on a little more than others just through interest levels, right? I'm not huge into the accounting side of the PGA program, but love learning how to teach people the game of golf. So the last 2 days were really, really cool. Learned a lot of really good things and excited to implement that into my everyday job now. So got through it. Now I'm back.
Good.
Back doing what I love. Back bugging you guys.
Oh, we love having you back in that seat.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for being back.
So for those watching, we have an empty seat next to us, but down on the seat, we've got our first ever phone interview for the podcast, the Sweet Shots podcast. We're welcoming in from the Detroit Lakes area, I believe, right? Tom Dolby, legendary PGA member. Tom, welcome in. Thanks for taking some time to get on the phone.
Thanks for having me, guys. Very excited to be part of the podcast.
So do we look at the chair when we're talking to Tom?
I
Because it was
think,
kind of.
I think we do.
I
This is a
think
new
we're
one.
going to. I think I like it. We're going to look at a blank chair.
Just out of blank chair.
Yeah, Tom, we appreciate you coming on. This is Mark. You know what? We go back a long ways. Matter of fact, it was 1995. You took a leap and hired me as an assistant professional for you at Southview Country Club, and you've been just a wonderful mentor to me and just a great asset to the golf profession and specifically the Minnesota section. So it's a joy to have you back working in our region. So welcome back. Tell us your travels from Southview, et cetera. How'd you end up at DL? Give us a little preview or summary as to your journey.
Well, yeah, it's been a journey, to say the least. But to recap your intro about you and I meeting and me hiring you, to be honest, I thought I was getting a Make-A-Wish kid from the Make-A-Wish program. And it turned out I was getting a great assistant golf pro and a lifelong friend, so it all worked out great. But no, seriously, I started off as the head pro at Southview Country Club. Of course, I grew up working at and playing at as a kid, and I still have a very long love affair with that golf course and the members there. And then I moved over I bought a golf course in western Minnesota, Atwater, Minnesota, called Island Pine, and owned that for 6 years. And then I moved to Wisconsin and worked at the Timber Ridge Golf Club, a beautiful golf course in Monaco, Wisconsin. And that's where I met my wife, Kaylin. And we have since moved on to a couple different places, Mascoutin Golf Club in Berlin, Wisconsin, which was a great golf course in central Wisconsin. And then most recently at Pine Grove Country Club in UP of Michigan and Iron Mountain, Michigan, a wonderful, wonderful golf course. And then an opportunity of a lifetime came up to move to Detroit Lakes, the golf course I've loved and been very fond of after my days of playing the Pine to Palm years ago. And we got family in the area and a lot of friends in the area. So it all came to fruition to be at a great place like DL and DCC Country Club. So yeah, we can't be more excited to be here and be part of this great area.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Tommy. You mentioned Kaylin, your wife. Now she's a PGA member as well. How many years has she been a PGA member?
She's been a PGA member for about 12 or so years, and just as a great instructor, wonderful passion for the game, and has a great history of working with junior golfers and lady golfers, and just a real promoter of the game of golf. So I'm very lucky to have her part of our team and be my wife and be part of the Detroit Country Club team. So
She does tend to play tee boxes a little too far forward, though. I've played golf with her. She can hit it really, really nice.
That's like a rivalry for the ages. I stepped into it. I had the opportunity to go down to the PGA show with you, Mark, and then Tom and Kaylin. We stayed with them, and we got
was
to play.
there.
And Chuck was there. You
Thank
didn't play
you.
golf with us. The
No,
story was-
I didn't. Yeah, okay.
But we got the opportunity to play golf with them, and I learned a lot about that rivalry between you and Kaylin.
Well, she
always-
hits it.
you know,
She hits it farther than I do, and she's playing tees that are too forward. I'm all about choosing tees that are appropriate, for your ability in the contest. But there's no way she and I should be playing different tee boxes.
her number one goal when she tees up is she's looking for a fair advantage.
I know when you play, there's always there's something on the line when you play with her, and it's fun when you see some social media posts. You guys love to play, and it's kind of fun to see. You keep it. You keep her in check, though. It seems like you're winning more than you're losing. Is that a fact, Tom?
Well, we've had a lifetime bet. When she beats me, I said I'll quit the game, and I'm still playing. So you can do the scoring at home for that. So
That's good. That's good. So, what will Kaylin's role be at DL? For those listeners that haven't been there before, it's a great facility. A lot of tradition in our region, but they also not only have the 18-hole facility, they have an executive golf course and practice facility over on the other side of the highway. What's going to be her role?
So we are following. There are two golf courses here: the Pine to Palm course, which is par 71, and then the Lakeview course, which is par 64. We are lucky to be following two really great golf pros, and Mark Holm and Chris Smith. And Kaylin's going to be very involved with the junior golf program. Roughly about 300 kids in the junior golf program here. Detroit Lakes has a great history of high school state championships and state qualifying teams, and a number of really good players have come out of the town. So she's going to be in charge of that program, the Growth of the Game program, and then she'll be mostly in charge of running the facilities out at Lakeview, where the juniors are mostly held. A number of large junior tournaments are in the area. We have a full driving range there with fitting equipment. She'll be doing a lot of teaching down there and working with the fitting equipment also. So
Good for her.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fit. Great fit. Have
So
you guys in
it
the
seems
region.
we're talking a lot about Kaylin. We've got Tom on the show.
Well, yeah, and we're
you
going to
know.
have Kaylin on eventually.
Right. Yeah. So Tom, what's your role then going to be around DL? We talked about what Kaylin's going to do. What do you expect to do around that area?
well, I hope to get to meet all of our customers. We have a very diverse membership here. I'm going to be the general manager and the head golf pro, running two facilities and close to 80 or 90 employees. So it's a big operation. It's very, very busy in the summer, June, July, and August. August is capped off with one of the area's premier events, and actually one of the regions and nationally premier events in the Pine to Palm, where 450 participants playing it, and it's a sort of a celebration of Minnesota golf and Minnesota history of golf. So, but I'm going to be very active on all facets of the business, from staff management to creating the business plan, managing the employees, the food and beverage operation, pretty much all of it. So it's a great facility with a great track record, but like every other business, you got to stay on top of the management side of it to make sure the revenues and the expenses balance out. So
Absolutely. And you touched on the Pine to Palm, and obviously that's a big part of not only that golf course, but that area. I think it's with the timing around the country music festival known as We Fest, and then just the good quality golf that comes in. I think out of the three of us here, one of our names is on the board. I'll bring it up as much as I can.
He never, every opportunity he
I
has,
know.
and I would too.
Yeah.
If my name was on the board, I'd bring it up.
Or
But
not. Yeah.
between the three of us, we have one name on the board.
On the board.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, is your name on the board anywhere?
it is not.
Okay.
You-
So
I
between the
know-
four of us, one.
I know, Tom, you've had an illustrious playing career. Did you play in the Pine to Palm growing up? Was that a stop for you?
Yes, I did. I played in two of them. I wish I had played in more. The one year, my claim to fame is I was second place in the medal qualifying the one year. I shot 66, 67, and Mr. Pat Herzog shot 64, 64. So then I probably lost in the first round that year. So, but I was more of a medal player. I was never. I love the qualifying format of the event, and I tended to enjoy the nightlife here in the DL quite a bit. So when it came to match play, I was already exhausted.
Well, I can relate to liking the medalist side of things. I guess I haven't experienced the DL nightlife as much, but no, that was I always seemed to find my exit around that second and third round.
You made longer runs as a 16-year-old than you did.
I did. That was my that was my second longest run.
Longest run. Tom, yeah. So we're touching a little bit on your playing ability, and that's where I want to go next. You have the ability. You were managing a country club in Southview when I was working for you. Everything that goes into running a golf facility at a very elite level, giving services at that level. And on top of that, you were still able to play like world-class golf. You played in 3 major championships as a golf professional. There's folks out there that are playing every day, working on their game, that don't get the opportunity professionally to play in major championships. Which 3 did you play? There's 3 PGAs, and I know which 3, but I want to have you touch on it. And which of your 3 was your most favorite?
I played in 94 at Southern Hills and 95 at Riviera, and then 2002 at Hazeltine. And I wound up by making the cut in the 94 one at Southern Hills, and obviously that's probably the most fun one in my heart, but I enjoyed all of them. They all presented different opportunities and challenges. But Southern Hills was just a fabulous experience, being my first PGA and first major, and the thrill of all that. And it was sort of in a mid-major town, so there was 40,000 spectators there on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday for the practice round. So for a person that had never really experienced that was quite a thrill.
So you're playing in front of just huge crowds, even on a practice round.
A quick story is on Wednesday we had heard that Nicholas, Watson, Price, and Norman were playing a rematch practice round from the British Open, and at 1:00 on Wednesday, and myself and Kevin Cashman, another golfer from Minnesota, we had talked to the starter about getting off in front of them. He said, well, be on the practice putting green and we'll come down and get you right before they tee off. So he comes down and grabs us. These 4 guys are on the first tee and their names are in the starting grid. And we walk up and they slide their names out and they put in Dolby and Cashman, and the crowd moans. So then the announcer says, now on the first tee, Kevin Cashman. And at the same time, I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I look behind me, it's Crenshaw. And he goes, mind if we join you? And it's him and Lanny Watkins. And I said, that'd be fun. And sort of wet my pants. Then they slid their names in and the crowd erupted. So now we're on the first tee with Nicholas, Watson, Price, and Norman, and Crenshaw and Lanny Watkins. So it was, and I survived that, and we talked about that for the rest of the week, that, if you can survive that first tee, you can pretty much survive any first tee.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
no, that story itself is crazy. And I know we've got, having spent time with you, Tom, I know there's plenty of stories to get to, but talk about the process as far as getting into they're major tournaments. There's the top tournaments in golf. How does a golf professional from Minnesota just wind up playing in these?
Well, the PGA Club Pro has an avenue to get into PGA Championship through a qualifying format. First, you have to qualify at your state level. There's usually 3 to 7 spots available from each section to advance to the National Club Pro Championship. And then at that, there used to be 40 spots to get in the top 40 would get in the National PGA Championship, and now it's down to 20 spots. So my first time I qualified, it was 40 spots. The next time it was 25 spots, and the final time it was 15 spots actually, and they've since modified it back up to 20. So it's a daunting process. About 15,000 club pros start the qualifying process, and you get down to 15 or 20 guys making it. So it's a pretty cool achievement to make it. It's one of the true highlights for a PGA Club professional to go through that process. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, a highlight to do it once, let alone 3 times.
Three times. That reminded me, Tom, of another story from Tulsa. So there were 40 PGA professionals playing in that event. And didn't Bernhard Langer, who
Just won again.
coincidentally just won this weekend,
I think he tied for the most.
The Chubb something.
62, 62nd win, I think.
Well,
Unbelievable.
it's 45th Champions Tour win.
With Hale Irwin.
Yeah. Anyways,
Anyway,
Remarkable.
didn't Bernhard have some comments about the field? There were too many club pros playing in that championship, and you were able to kind of rebut that in the press conference after a round. How did that happen?
So I wound up by playing pretty good at Southern Hills, and I made the cut. And on Friday, I shot 67 in the second round, and they pulled me to the big press tent like you see on TV, and it was 102 degrees out, and I was fairly delirious when I got in there, and excited to be in there, obviously, for the first time ever. And one of the very first questions they threw at me is they said that Bernhard Langer had made some comments that the club, there was too many club pros in the event, and they didn't deserve to be in the field. And I was feeling a little cocky and bold at the time, and I said, well, what did Bernhard shoot? And at that time, he was 3 behind me. I said, well, if he had played better, we could have talked about it tomorrow.
Like you'd been paired together if you would have played better.
And
man.
The next day in the Tulsa paper, the headline in the sports page is Dolby slams Langer's comments about club pros. But I think that I've only talked to Bernhard one time since then. I think he's become a much more better golf person, so to speak, and much more compassionate about the evolution of golf and club pros and so-called rabbits on the senior tour and so on. So, but he's become a very, very good ambassador for senior golf and obviously just for golf in general with his performances and the ability to stay healthy and maintain his golf ability as he ages here, because he's truly still a world-class player. And if he played the PGA Tour, he'd still be in the top 50, I believe. The longest golf persons might get him, but just it was a year or two ago they were considering putting him on the Ryder Cup team. So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that is
crazy.
remarkable.
I will say, and I saw this, and it looks pretty bad. A picture from one of his winning putts this last week, it really looks like he's anchoring with that left forearm, which would be illegal.
Are you calling him out,
I'm
LJ, right
I
here
am
on our
calling him out.
podcast?
What do you think, Tom? We got any anchoring going on there?
That shirt is awful tight to his chest.
It doesn't. The picture does not look good. I will say that. So a little controversy on top of it.
So the other majors that you talked about, I want to take them out of order because the third one, Riviera, I want to save that because that'll be a great transition into some of our talk from last week's event. The Hazeltine Championship, the PGA Championship in 2002, Tom, that to play in to qualify and play in a championship in your backyard in front of friends and family, that has to just be an incredibly special experience. Talk to us about the Hazeltine.
Yeah, it was. I mean, actually, just qualifying for that event was a real thrill for me. The qualifying that year was at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky, where they've had Ryder Cups and majors also. So to play on a truly championship venue in the National Club Pro was a real thrill, and I played very well there. I finished like 11th or 12th overall, and against a great field of club pros that year. It was probably one of the best strength of fields that the Club Pro Championship has had through the years. And I had a remote chance to win the event, and to be in the hunt was a real thrill. Hazeltine was awesome to play in our backyard. I had thrown my back out about 3-4 weeks before the tournament, and it just deteriorated to the point where I could barely even walk during the event and barely swing, and my scores were pretty poor. I had played in a Pro-Am at Oak Glen in Stillwater, Minnesota during that week, and or 3 weeks before, and I shot 64, and I went to a neighboring golf course and hit balls for about 3 hours. Then I drove 3 hours home to Wilmer, Minnesota, and I couldn't get out of the car. My back was locked up on me, and so in retrospect, I probably should have withdrew out of the event and let somebody else play in my spot. But I was excited to play at home, and it was. If I had been on the road somewhere, I probably would withdrew. But I had a lot of family and friends in town for the event, and to say I felt obligated is probably not the right word, but I felt like I should play and struggle through it, and I definitely struggled through it.
So from that event, there is a story. Your brother caddied for you, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And can you talk to us about the situation where you found yourself with less than a comfortable number of golf balls in your golf bag?
Yeah, I was playing with J.J. Henry and Philip Price from Wales, and we got to the 16th hole, which is our seventh hole, and I actually was playing pretty good up until that point on round one, and I think I was only like one over par, maybe two over par going into 16, and the 16th hole, sort of the signature hole at Hazeltine, and I thought was a pretty good tee ball out there, and we get out there, and the spotter never saw the ball land over the hazard, and so we searched and finally had to go back to the tee box and hit another one. My brother gave me a golf ball, and the rules official gave me a ride down to the tee box and hit that one, the second one, way out in the middle of the lake, and so now the rules official gives my brother a ride back in the cart to give me another ball, and my brother walks into the tee box and he throws me the ball and he says, "Have fun, it's our last one."
Oh,
No.
I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I forgot to grab golf balls when we left the locker room."
Oh.
So that was a lot of pressure in front of about 25,000 people on the last three holes to play with one golf ball at Hazeltine until we got to the locker room at the turn. But I did it. I played 16, 17, 18 there with one ball.
Oh my!
Considering the situation, would have been embarrassing to ask one of my fellow competitors for a golf ball.
Well, in the rules, Tom, I think you need to be playing the same golf ball,
Same
right?
equipment.
You couldn't change
Yeah.
brands. So if JJ Henry was playing, I don't know if you were playing a Srixon or what you were playing at that time,
Yeah.
but were
I
they
was playing
playing
a Srixon and JJ was playing a Titleist, and I think Philip was playing a Bridgestone. So, but at that point, the rules wouldn't have mattered. I just needed the ball.
Oh, what an experience! Hopefully, you and your brother can laugh about that
Right.
now. But I'm sure at the time it was not that comfortable.
No, it wasn't. It was it was a very stressful walk up that fairway.
I would say so. Tom, when you talk about obviously no slouch when it comes to playing ability, what would have been your strongest part of the game? What made you succeed at that level? Obviously, not everyone can get there, but you made something click.
I was always very good at keeping the ball in play. I prided myself on some different shots off the tee to keep the ball in play. I've always considered myself a very good wedge and sand wedge player and pitcher and chipper of the ball. But to tell you the truth, I really always prided myself on preparation too. I think that's one of the things that is really overlooked for good players is creating a game plan, how to attack the golf course. And every PGA I played in, every state open I played in, every section championship, I always played practice rounds. And I felt the knowledge of the golf course was invaluable. The different angles and places to miss it and places to avoid, and just peace of mind of playing the golf course to me was really important. And then also along with that was just having the proper gear. I preach to our high school golfers all the time about having, a stocking cap and rain gloves and having your bag organized and stuff like that, because if you look at some of the players, and you talk about preparation before a tournament, if you know a golf course well in a 3-4 round tournament, you're probably gaining 6, 8, 10 shots on the field of the average players in the field just based off of knowledge of the golf course. So I never really thought of myself as a world-class player, so to speak, but I did consider myself a very organized and well-prepared player, which I felt really helped benefit me. So.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Transitioning to your other PGA Championship and where the tour played last week at Riviera, I would imagine knowing that golf course, managing, having a game plan when those golf courses, when you miss it in the wrong spots, is so penal that having a game plan to avoid those areas had to have been beneficial. Talk to us about that experience playing the storied Riviera golf club back in '95.
It was truly a special place. It was a unique time. It was at the height of the OJ trial. So LA was buzzing with OJ stuff. In the locker room, they had a piece of duct tape over his locker name. Just a piece of gray duct tape over OJ's name, which was pretty funny. I actually have a picture of it somewhere. And it was just an incredible golf course. I went down there a month before with one of my board members from Southview, and we played a couple days. And that golf course is all about angles and positioning, and there's holes you want to be in the bunker on. There's holes you just can't afford to miss in a certain spots, and and the greens on the golf course today are much different than the greens were back then. The turf is much better today, and those greens look beautiful on TV and are rolling very, very well. When I played, they actually tore the greens up literally a week after the tournament to replace them. There was just virtually no grass left on the greens after our tournament. So, I played well down there. I shot 73, 74. I think I missed the cut by one shot. Had a number of chances as I look back on it to make the cut. It was an interesting time. I was playing a practice round with Tom Lehman and Larry Mize and Jim Furyk, and we were on the ninth hole at Riviera. It's an uphill par 4, and there was very few spectators out there. And there was two ladies coming down. The cart path runs on the right side of the hole as you come down the hole, and there's two ladies in black sundresses walking down the entire length of the hole, and we noticed them fairly quickly. And they walked right up to the side of the tee, and I said, the one said, "Hi, boys, how's it going?" And it was Christy Brinkley and Cheryl Teagues, two supermodels back in the day. And it was very difficult to play that hole, let's say that, the rest of the way. They sort of shook me up.
Oh, that's good.
That's awesome.
Well, that's fantastic. So I tell you what, we're gonna keep you around here, Tom. We got to take our first break just to make sure that we get everything organized here. Talk about organization. We'll get everything organized. We'll keep you around after the break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This segment brought to you by the Sweet Shots Golf Academy and Retail Golf Center. Now is the time. Get fit for your clubs. From putter fittings, driver fittings, irons fittings, it's in your best interest to make sure you get in here, get your equipment fit and ordered for the 2023 season. These manufacturers, they'll make it, they'll ship it, and it'll be here by the time we're ready to hit the links. Come have a fitting experience that you won't soon forget. Sweet Shots Golf Academy and Retail Fitting Center. Let Jim Bigelow, Lucas Johnson fit you up for your equipment here in 2023. Let's get better today.
Let's get better today. I like it. You did remember that last time.
Yeah, we
last
did.
episode. And then it seemed to click that, yeah,
shoot,
Lucas
the guy who penned that isn't here.
I think that's what it came down to.
down to. It is.
All right. Well, jumping right back into it, Tom. So talk about Riviera, and there's fantastic golf being played this last week. It seems like these elevated events have been fantastic to watch. But one of the hole 10 at Riviera might be, in my opinion, one of the greatest golf holes out there. When you were playing, you said back in '95. What was the strategy like on that hole? Maybe for you and for guys playing it. Now it's bombs away and you just get a wedge in your hand. Was that similar to when you were playing it, or was it different then too?
Somewhat similar. It was still bombs away, but only a very, very, very few people back in the mid '90s had the game to get it on the putting surface. Very few. Now they all do, but that doesn't mean they can. And the big difference from now to back when I played it was there used to be two fairways on that hole. There was a fairway on the right side also, a small little skinny narrow fairway on the right. And if you chose to go that way, you could have a better option if the pin got left on the green. The green's not very wide, but when they put the pin on the left, you could go down that right side with a hybrid or a fairway without the tee and have a 60, 70, 80 yard pitch shot onto that green and have some spin on the ball. Now the hole is really diabolical. Over the course of time, the right green side bunker, the lip has gotten higher because of the sand coming out of the bunker, and it's probably raised up another 5-6 inches there, which creates a little bit of a downslope effect. And that's really got the players really paralyzed if they get in that bunker. They really don't have an option. A little surprised at times more players just don't play to the center, the front third center of that green as a safety valve when they get out of position. But it's hard for a tour elite player to really back off a 30-yard, 20, 30, 40-yard shot. It's just not in their DNA. It's the tour has been a lot of fun the last 3, 4, 5 weeks with the leaderboards. The PGA Tour is in a great spot. When players leave either through a different playing opportunity or their game is phased out or they retire, there's just always another generation of this PGA Tour and in the golf world to pick up the slack. There's just some wonderful stories out there with guys like Max Homa, Tom Kim, Sunjay, and obviously the Spieth and the Justin Thomases are in their prime. But Mr. Rahm and McIlroy right now are really playing some great golf. Rahm is just at a whole level different than most of the kids out there. So
it is crazy, and we see it more and more. And I saw a comment that we do it a lot, but I think this is the closest we're coming to a Tiger-esque run. I mean, he's won 5 of his last 9 events. He's only lost to a total of 9 different golfers. He's made $9.8 million in the last 3 weeks or something like that. And we're sitting here trying to, we always think when's the next one or who's the next. But this certainly feels like a run to keep an eye on.
Well, pump the brakes there, young Johnson. Just pump the brakes a little bit, okay?
Well,
when you mentioned him with Tiger, you're getting into some rare air. Pump the brakes.
I knew that, and I have a stat to back that up. I mean, there's an equally as crazy stat that I saw today, and this one's in Tiger. So if Tiger Woods would have played only 2 years on tour from 1999 to 2000, just those 2 years, he would have had 17 wins and 4 majors, which is a better career than Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, guys in that area.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
that's crazy.
There's really, I mean, Nicklaus and Tiger are in a total world of their own as far as golf accomplishment. And then you have sort of a middle pack of guys, the Hogans, the Faldos, the Tom Watsons. Those guys are in the middle pack. And then you have a plethora of guys, the Spieth, the McIlroy, with the 2-3 majors that are, trying to get to that 4th major or 5th major. And I think Rahm definitely has the game for it. Golf is an interesting way lately of not superstars come along very rarely. And we're so quick to tag certain people as superstar. Fame, yes, but superstar is a whole different word. And, I think Rahm has a long way to go to get to being even mentioned in the same breath as a Faldo or a Watson, that sort of vein with 5, 6, 7 majors. It's amazing how fast time passes by. They're talking about, Jordan Spieth, how long it's been since his last major. And, he needs the PGA to win the Grand Slam. And he is at the top of his game right now. And, but life can deal those guys with family, different motivations and all that. And it's just hard to stay focused like a Tiger did. Tiger was a motivated person. And Rahm is on, I read some of those stats you're talking about. I think a better comparison to Rahm right now is probably Johnny Miller's run. That he's on the sort of the same run that Johnny Miller was on back in the 70s. Just, playing at such a high level, nobody could catch him for an 18-month period. And but we'll see how it translates to the majors.
How about, Tom, what Tiger did this week? Step in and make the cut and hadn't competed for a while on tour. If you're making the cut at Riviera, you must have some ball striking back in line. He must be in control of his ball flight. What's your take on Tiger?
Well, I think that along the same lines there, it's not unlike what Jack did. When Jack won Augusta at 46 years old, and what Snead did, and some of the Snead almost won events in his 50s. Tom Watson almost won the British Open. When you're that of an elite player, you have the skill set and the mind memory to dig deep into your library and catalog of shots and skills. It's something that becomes physical, and it was great to see Tiger physically handle that golf course. It's four. It wasn't just 4 rounds of the tournament. He played a couple practice rounds. He was the host of the event, so he was busy hosting the event. It sounds like I've played Riviera. You've walked 18 holes there. Now you got to walk up about 100 steps up to the clubhouse, and it is a tall task. And Tiger's been through a lot, and to see him perform at this level, I was really excited for him, to tell you the truth. I think that he's got a real chance at Augusta. I mean, he was driving the ball beautifully. I love the tempo of his swing. There was no hurry in any of his swings, especially off the tee. He drove it as good as most people did during the event. His putter got a little sideways a couple of the rounds.
Yeah.
And that just comes from not playing enough under the bright lights. He does play a fair amount of golf at Medalist. I know that for a fact. I got a friend of mine who plays there often, and Tiger is there a lot. And Tiger's blessed with a wonderful son, a lot like you, Mark. And and Charlie's keeping Tiger active in golf, and that's going to be a real blessing for Tiger as he goes through his next 2-3 years of his life trying to chase down Mr. Nicklaus. So, but Tiger looked great. I mean, he was as good at swinging the club as I've seen him in a long time.
Yeah, I was encouraged watching that. I was hoping, make the cut would be just something wonderful, and then to see him do it, and then even play pretty well Saturday.
Matter of fact,
having
played. I won a couple beers off you
I
on
owe
that
you a
Tiger
couple
Woods
beers.
deal.
I
Yeah.
shouldn't have brought it up.
You were
Tom,
doubting Tiger.
Okay, moving on. Tom, having played Riviera, and I know I'm certain you probably been to Augusta and watched. Is it as hilly? My recollection of Augusta was just taken back on how hilly, and that takes a toll on a golfer and somebody like Tiger. Is Riviera comparable to that?
No. There's very few golf courses that compare to Augusta as far as the hills go.
Okay.
Especially some of the pitch of the hills. It's a lot of steep up, a lot of steep down. Riviera has some holes that are comparable to it, but nothing over 18 holes like Augusta.
Sure.
That's where, that's what he's building for, is to be able to walk around that golf course for 4 days at Augusta and plus play a couple practice rounds or some holes of practice rounds to physically be able to perform at a level. And I think he was, I saw his interview after the event, and you could see the glimmer in his eyes. He accomplished,
Yep.
I mean, obviously making a cut's a big deal to most people. It's not a big deal to Tiger. Tiger has a different goal than just making the cut. And I think Tiger's goal was to be able to recoup his energy and his physical abilities as far as being able to physically move around the golf course the way he wanted for 4 days. And that was mission accomplished. I think that he's really encouraged by that.
Yep. Agreed.
Absolutely.
I've got one other golf story question for Tom
Yep.
before we let him go. Tom, you were mentioned, or I don't know if featured's the word, mentioned in a John Feinstein, great sports writer,
Yep.
a book that he did about Q School. Tom, can you speak to? Didn't he follow you around, and was he following you, or were you paired with Jim Furyk? If I remember the story.
I was the book is A Good Walk Spoiled by John Feinstein.
Okay, Good Walk
And
Spoiled.
it's basically about the trials and tribulations of Q School back in the day, and the success and failure of certain players in their quest to be in the PGA Tour, to make it to the PGA Tour. And I had the good fortune of being paired with Mike Donald. Mike Donald had lost the U.S. Open the year before in an 18-hole playoff to Hale Irwin. Hale Irwin had made a 60-foot putt on the 18th green of the 72nd hole to force a playoff. Otherwise, Mike Donald would have been the U.S. Open champion.
Wow.
And everything that goes with that, the lifetime exemptions and all this stuff. The year later, Mike Donald's at PGA Tour Q School.
Wow.
Jeez.
And Mike Donald had been a journeyman his whole life and struggled on tour. And I was paired with him and John McGinnis. And John Feinstein rode in my cart for 4 days. And I actually played fairly well at the Q school. It was a dream of mine to make it there, and I did. And I think I may have led the entire field in birdies that week, but I also led them in triples and quadruple bogeys.
I can relate.
I had like 29 birdies in the 4 rounds.
Wow.
I could not stop aiming for certain pins, and that was just my nature. And but I was there sort of on a different mission. But John was a great guy, and it was and I tell people a story all the time about Mike Donald and the cruelties of golf and what it takes to succeed. And some guys chase it for a guy like Tom Lehman chased mini tour golf for 10 years. Before he hit pot of gold, and guys like Tom Hoagie chased golf, and there's very few guys that come out and hit pay dirt right away. Most of those guys out there have chased golf for a long time, and it's a long process, and there's whole different levels of ability out there. But I think that the biggest thing when you find the great players that are successful in the tour, they find comfort out there, and they're comfortable in that setting. The lights, the cameras, the interview, the golf course changes from week to week. They don't find that to be a discomfort. They find it comforting. And they, a lot of good players have told me through the years that every golf course is the same. It has a tee box, a fairway, and a green. And that's what they look at. They don't see all the fluff and the trouble and the rough and the water and the trees. And when players are struggling, they do. And when they're playing great, they don't. And you can see in Rahm's swing right now and McIlroy's swing, they get up in the tee box and they just swing. They're not in any type of discomfort on that golf course mentally. So, but yeah, it was a thrill of mine or a pretty cool thing to be in that book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's many stories. We're going to have Tom on again. We'll have him in person, and we can go a little more in depth with some of those stories and things. But Tom, we are very thankful that you came on with us. We're even more thankful that you're back in our region and community. The members at Detroit Country Club in that area are going to really benefit from having you and Kaylin around. So we're really looking forward to having you in the region, in the community, and doing what you do best for golf and golfers. You're one of the most talented people in our industry, in the game of golf, both as a player and as a facility manager. And I really look forward to folks in the community and region getting to know you both. So thanks for being on, Tom. We wish you the best this spring, getting things going with Detroit Country Club.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to you guys on a great facility. I was up there a few weeks ago, and that is one cool place you guys have there at Sweet Shots. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
Tom.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
We'll talk to you later, Tom.
Okay. Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back after this. We're going to talk DFS stuff for us here. All right. This segment brought to you by Sweet Shots Academy Junior Golf Programs. We've got one kicking off here in 2 weeks. That's going to be the first week in March. I believe March 2nd, so that's Saturday. So we've got great programs led by myself and Jim Bigelow. We utilize some of our technology as well as being able to see some full ball flight in the winter. So it's going to be a great time. If you've got some kids that are looking to burn off some energies on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., bring them on over to Sweet Shots for our junior program. Let's get better today. Gents, getting right into it. Obviously, we touched on it a little bit last week at Riviera. It was fantastic. It seems like John Rahm just does not want to go anywhere. So this week, a little break in the action because he's not going to play. So
somebody else can win.
Give someone else a chance here. Max Homa also had a great week. I mean, he came what seemed like out of nowhere.
Man, he got emotional in the press conference.
He wanted it.
It meant a lot to him.
Yeah,
it's refreshing.
Yeah. Yep. Well, when you get the chance to stand next to Tiger and Tiger's sure, I get emotional too.
Right.
And then we touched on just how amazing Tiger Woods is and just the physical feat he was able to achieve. But watching it, it's interesting too, because over this last week we've had the release of the Netflix documentary Full Swing. And Chuck, I know we talked a little bit about it. Mark, you said you started it, right?
Correct.
I mean, talk about just a great concept, I think, for the world of golf to be able to get that out there. They're looking to do what they did for the Formula One series.
That's right.
But
Which have you guys watched?
I have.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Mark,
think it's one of
no.
my favorites.
You know what? For those listeners out there that may not be into racing of cars, I was not into it at all. And somebody turned me onto this documentary. It's 3 seasons now, I believe, is
I
out
think
there.
it's 4.
4th is coming out, I believe.
No, 5th one's coming
Oh,
out.
5th is coming out.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's unbelievable. Netflix has individuals embedded with these drivers, and you see just the competition between the teams, and it's good.
I thought there's only one seat per car.
No, there's
Yeah.
Okay.
There's this guy.
another guy in
they're
the back
not-
seat.
oh.
He's hitting him in the back of the head if he's making a wrong turn.
Wow. That I'm watching that.
Yes.
That would be something.
You had no
Oh,
idea
geez.
in those Indy cars.
Indy cars. Oh my gosh.
So you watched this whole,
whole
full swing?
series.
I've watched one
Oh, wait.
episode.
Yeah. The whole full
Full-
swing,
full-
I've watched the
You
entire.
watched that
I
too?
have.
It is.
Okay.
It's so interesting to just get a behind the scenes look. It's these guys are human beings, you just get
Right.
to see what the preparation to me, and I'm 7 of the 8 episodes in, but it's interesting to see under the hood the preparation, the mental aspect that goes into it, because guys like Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth are so different from Joel Damon and Sahith Theegala, and
Right.
they've got Rory McIlroy on their last episode. Don't spoil anything.
Nope,
And
nope, I won't.
it's so interesting we just see them on the leaderboard
Right.
and we realize how great golfers they are. But then you get a look under the hood about the kind of people they are and what goes into their preparation and what factors in. It's amazing to watch.
The one that stood out, and I won't ruin it for you guys, is the Tony Finau.
Absolutely.
Have you seen that
I just watched that one.
That guy, I've always been a fan, but to watch that episode really focused on him and his family, and just, I'm a bigger fan. I
Yeah.
want that guy to succeed as much as possible.
And I think ultimately that's what this show is going to do, is it's going to bring people to the fact that, yes, it does touch on the PGA Tour versus Live stuff, but ultimately it was more, hey, you see this guy on the golf course. How about what he's like off the golf course,
Right.
what he's dealing with off the golf course, and how he prepares and what
Yep.
these experience, how they shape him. And it's really, really cool to watch just from a personal level.
It's
Right.
the number 2 ranked Netflix show.
Is it right now?
Yeah, number
Okay.
2.
Okay.
golf.
As it should be. I mean, it's fantastic. I think people, it's anytime you get to take a look under the hood of whatever it is, right?
Yep.
There's a tennis one that's out there that I think I didn't watch it, but I've heard great things about. I think people are they're itching for this kind of content to just humanize some of those people
Sure.
that are making
Very
that.
cool.
So really cool. If you have Netflix, get the opportunity to take a look at Full Swing. It's absolutely fantastic. I'd love to hear your guys' reactions in the comments or anything like that. But getting into this week, we're going from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Well, are we going to recap?
We better recap.
Quickly,
Sorry, I
quickly.
didn't get a team.
Mark might have actually had a victory, so we better recap.
Well, this
yes.
is full on controversy. Full.
It is. It's just perfect. It's total me.
You want to talk?
Am I going first?
Yeah. Well, LJ wasn't here, so he didn't submit a lineup.
I did
so
not.
it became you and I contest.
Yep, and I picked my lineup live on the podcast. Yeah, and so what I failed to do is press save. So I picked my lineup, but I didn't save my lineup.
Uh-huh.
So,
I have your lineup. I listened again.
Yep, I listened again too, and I got my lineup,
Yeah.
and then I went out and I found all the points that my guys made,
Oh, you did the math.
and I did the math. All 6 of these guys made the cut.
Ugh.
Can you believe that? I'm 6 for
Hey,
6
On
on
that
Riviera.
week, and it was tough because there was a lot of big dogs that didn't make it.
Right.
So
Right.
congrats. This guy's going to be wandering your way.
Yes.
What do you got? What do you got?
Finally, I had 425 points.
Wow.
And I had
yes.
McElroy,
How much-
Thomas,
How much money did you make?
Hoagie, Nick Taylor, Shane Lowry,
Yep.
82.5 points. That was my pick. And then I was mocked and ridiculed, but
Yeah,
I
you
had
were.
Tiger on my team.
Yep.
Tiger by the tail, and Tiger makes the cut. So that's my first time having all 6 players make the cut. That was 425 points. I did have an equal amount. Another team that I did was around 425, and I did. I made some pretty
You had to
decent
make some money.
money on that.
Nice
So
job.
425
That's a
effort.
solid team.
Thank you.
Here you go. This guy, the goat,
Finally.
right now is going, who's this guy?
Is this the first
I'd
one?
not been over this way before. Why? How many points did you have?
Well, my team did not fare as well. I had 2 miss the cuts. Fitzpatrick missed, ouch, and Taylor Montgomery missed. So I had JT, Thigala, Clark, and Adam Scott. Thigala anchored. I only had 341.
Wow.
You lapped
Man.
me.
Man, okay.
You
This
lapped me.
is feeling good. Even if LJ didn't put in a team, I'm still feeling
Just
Yep.
like
quite fine.
John Rahm, I wanted to give someone else a chance to win.
Funny guy.
I thought
All right.
I thought you had Gary Woodland on your team. As I listened to last week's show, you highlighted some guys.
I
and think
did.
Woodland was a pick, and I thought that was extremely.
Yep.
That was really a good pick because he did. I think he had a top 10 from his strokes gained. I think in Phoenix was trending the right direction. You're like, geez, Woodland's a good value, and
I didn't put him in our lineup, but I had him in other lineups.
You did.
Yep.
Nice
There you
work.
go.
Thank
nice
you.
work.
All right,
Okay,
so
well, I'm feeling it now.
congrats, Mark.
Way to go,
There's
Mark.
the first one.
Thank you.
That
Treat the goat nicely.
That
Yep.
proves anybody can do it.
That's right.
all right, yeah. So, like I said, we're moving from the West Coast all the way over to the East Coast, Florida swing. There's a lot of talk with these elevated events that guys that can set their own schedule, the heavy hitters, the guys like McIlroy, Rahm, those guys, they're taking the week off
That's right.
because we got players coming up, and what was the other one that's in there? Anyway, so we're at PGA National for the Honda Classic this week. Great golf course. It is shorter ish, right?
7,100 yards.
Par 70.
That's right.
But probably the talk of the golf course is the finishing stretch, 16, 17, 18, maybe some of the best stretches.
That's right.
Best
The Bear
stretch of
Trap.
the Bear Trap. Jack Nicklaus designed course, right? He did the whole thing, and some of the toughest finish in golf. A lot of water on this golf course.
That's right.
Got to be able to drive the ball well.
Yep.
Right.
Total driving. That's a stat I got here. Typical score for winning is about 10 under around that ball. So it's not a
nothing
birdie
crazy.
fest.
Yeah,
Nope.
nothing crazy.
Yep.
And it is being in Florida. It is Bermuda grass, so you've got that coming at you for what that's worth.
And the wind blows.
And the wind blows. I see the looking at weather. It's going to be swirling. I don't think it's going to stay one direction all week. It's going to be picking up and moving. So something to keep an eye on there as well. Chuck, any other points I'm kind of missing here?
From a stats perspective, where I'd focus total driving. Okay. And that for the listener there, sometimes we talk about driving distance with the bombers getting that advantage with so much water on this course. Total driving, hitting fairways, not necessarily length of shot, but being in that fairway is going to be key. And then bogey avoidance is another one with a tough course. When you're looking at scores, historically, the cut line is about +2.
Oh wow, over par.
Yep, +1, +2. So bogey avoidance, and then the third category or stat I'd look at is greens and regulation. Those are all categories. If you go out and look, you can see individuals playing this week. Who's at the top in those categories?
So I think this is a great test of a golf course because just driving in those final 3 holes are fantastic to watch. And I know Nate DeZiel, who we had on our earlier show, he's played in this and never forgets to remind me every week that they play here, that just how difficult this golf course can be. So I think it's going to make for some great golf again, even if we don't have the top names in the lineup. So really excited. But let's jump in here to our teams this week. Mark, you screaming go to the week. You get
I go first.
you get to kick it
I've
off.
never gone first before.
There you go.
Well, so I went a little course history, and there's not the marquee names, but I went course history, and I went with a guy. I did 3 heavy hitters. Okay. So I did at 10,700. I went with
Sungjae.
Most
Sungjae
expensive
M.
guy this week.
Most expensive. He's the class of the field, in my opinion, as
Yep.
you look at this. And I think you need to have him on your team. His ball striking is just exceptional, and I think it's going to be rewarded here. The next guy, he's gone 4 for 4 in cuts. He's had 3 top 3s. He's from Australia, I think. M. Lee.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have a picture up, but I like his numbers. And then Matt Kuchar, the Cooch. I've had him on my teams periodically. I think experience is going to help, and he's
playing
ball
well.
striking. He's
playing
playing well
well
right
right
now.
Yep.
So I think I need to ride that. And then the next guy that I have on my team, he's a past champion. He's playing the Champions Tour, but he's hitting the ball longer than he's ever hit it. Podrick Harrington.
Yeah.
He's a
Sure.
value
Patty.
pick at 7,300. He played well last week. He didn't beat Bernhard Langer
Yeah.
in the senior event, but it's a stretch. But I'm throwing a senior on my
He
team.
always has a senior. I love it.
I frequently have a
Not
senior
Rory
on my team.
Sabatini this week.
No.
No, and then I picked a couple guys that have great course knowledge and experience and aren't the longest hitters because it isn't that long of a golf course. It's more of a game manager's course. And I have Russell Knox and Brian Gay.
Okay.
Brian Gay's coming off an injury, but he's been trending.
Mhm.
So a bit of a leap, but I'm really trying to use the heavy hitters and then find some value guys. And if your value guys make the cut, all the
Bonus.
better. It's
Yeah.
kind of what happened to me last week. So I'm gonna ride this allegedly. So I'm gonna really try and ride this. Pick really some couple guys that are proven guarantees, and then hopefully find some guys that can make the cut in the value picks. Probably more information than you wanted to know, but I'm feeling good
I like
about
it.
my team.
Yep.
We'll take it. That's not bad. Chuck, you're up next.
I'm going next. Okay.
Yeah.
So for I went him as well. I think he's fit for course. Top dog, spending a lot of money on him. Then I'm going to go Zach Johnson. I think Zach, he's playing. He's made a couple cuts now. I think he's going to continue this trajectory for the Masters. So he's working on
Prepping.
Yep, he's prepping.
Good theory.
Then based on the bogey avoidance and greens and regulation, I got Will Gordon.
I like that. Yeah.
And Hayden Buckley.
I like that one as well.
Those guys make both categories. Nick Hardy actually makes all three when you look at total driving. So I'm going off that stats. And then Alex Noren is the guy that I got on my squad that I think people are going to be off. He's missed the last two cuts, but he missed the cut on the number. And then last week it was by 2. So he's right there. And I think on a weaker field, I think he's going to have it.
that.
Yep.
I
Yep,
like
you're
that.
right. And I think, Chuck, this is a compliment to you and the homework that you do. This part of the tour, I think knowing numbers, the strokes gained numbers, and really applying those is going to pay off.
Yeah. When we get a little data here,
yes,
we're in a 10th event where these guys have been playing. That's what I'm banking on.
Yep.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. I'm a little surprised you guys didn't pick up my top guy, Shane Lowry.
Yeah,
not
he
on
had a
your
good
team.
tournament last week. He was
He
on my
did.
team.
Really looking forward to seeing how he plays again. Kind of going off your point on a little weaker field, Chuck.
Yep.
I think he got a ton of confidence playing at Riv. He looked good at Riv. So Shane Lowry is going to lead it off, followed by Matt Kuchar. I like that. He's game solid, trending that way. And then I went pretty middle of the road. I stuck in the 7s. And then I went for a little bit of course history and then recent form. Ben Griffin's my next expensive.
that's a good pick.
He's been playing really well.
Yep.
I think he missed a cut last week, or I guess AT&T was the last time, but he's been grinding. Then I went the Byung Hun An. Byung Hun An.
On.
Yep.
A-N.
On.
Yep.
A-N. And he's been playing really well. So more recent form there. I've got Joseph Bromlett, who's
7 cuts in a row.
7 cuts in a
Wow.
row.
I have that down.
Plus, he's coming off back to back. His last 2 events he's played have both been top 15.
It's solid.
So
I like
heavy recent form on that one. And then big fan of Grayson Sig, who had a value of 7,200. His fantasy points per game is 73.3. He makes cuts. He's got a top 10 in there. He missed the cut last week, but before that was playing pretty solid. So more recent form than anything on my entry to get me back in the swing of things here. But I feel confident about those guys.
That's solid.
It's
So you went Lowry,
I went
avoiding him. I like it. It's a
You
good pivot.
take notes. I hit save on that one. There's
Yep.
a little button in the corner
Yep,
that
I've
just
already
says
saved.
save.
saved my team.
Okay.
Something like this when they head over to Florida, a couple other teams that I might do, and I'm going to do some research. Guys that play well on Bermuda grass.
Yep.
It is different.
Well, and we've talked about that
That's right.
before, and there's something to be said for Bermuda putters and short game, and I think it'll be interesting for those out there that are looking down that road. It is different. Speaking from experience, so
Solid teams, guys.
yeah, excited.
good.
Should be a good one. Always, like I said, the finishing stretch here is fantastic golf. So we're excited to watch that. That's going to wrap things up here for us. Episode 20, round 2, hole 1. gentlemen. So great guest. Thanks again to Tom Dolby for coming on the show. First phone interview. I think that went well. So hopefully have him on again and get his wife Kaylin on here as well. And best of luck to you guys moving forward. Best of luck to the listeners. And we'll catch you next time.